So here is a yard of late splits. These are the last round of splits we did this year. And so two things. I want to show you some frame manipulation, especially for those of you who maybe this is your first, second year of beekeeping and your bees are having to draw out new foundation from the plastic. So here's a little manipulation you can do. I left my smoker somewhere. Anyway, so this frame was there at the edge. Nothing drawn on it yet. Same thing with these, or actually these two frames were on the edge too and hadn't been touched. So what you can do, okay, so look at this next frame over. You can see that the bees are on this side and they're probably drawing this side out. Yeah, so they're drawing that side. So here's what we can do. Flip that, put that to the outside wall. This here, they haven't started, well, just a little bit, but they really haven't started touching it. So flip it, face the outside wall. This frame that was the outermost, we can bring in one, or we can even bring in two. So push this frame up against it. And so now, because there is a undrawn space between a started to be drawn and also drawn frame, they're going to be more apt to fill those out. And so that's just one more way that you can, you have to be, it's really challenging your first year, 2 years of beekeeping when you're drawing out new foundation, because bees, even though they're hard workers, sorry, I keep getting my glove in the way, even though they're hard workers, they don't like working harder than what they have to. They're also efficient. And so sometimes you'll even see bees that'll stovepipe. They'll just go up through the middle frames and bees will swarm. Or even sometimes I've seen many times where people will have a box or two of drawn comb, install a nuke, and then they'll go put a full box full of new foundation, and the bees will swarm instead of starting to work on that foundation. So it's always good to checkerboard whenever you're starting new frames. But if you are starting from scratch, which we all have to usually at some point, that's kind of a manipulation. You can just keep rotating these frames into more of the center so that they can finish working them out. Another thing to note on these splits, and that's kind of the second reason for this video, so all these splits were taken at the same time. This palette, I didn't put excluders on. And let me preface it that this is not an anti-queen excluder video, but it's something to make note of, that if you're going to use excluders, it's a science and art. And it's a science and art that I'm not really that familiar with. But here, out of curiosity, when we made these splits, they were singles, and I thought, oh, we'll try it. And once again, I'll probably show my ignorance by saying this, but we threw an excluder above the first and then a second box and put them out, and it's the beginning of the blackberry flow. This palette here, as well as two of the hives on that palette, didn't have an excluder. The bees are already in the second box. This one they've got pretty well about 3/4 full. This one they've got, I don't know, maybe a little over half, 3/4 full, versus versus these bees over here. Well, actually, no, this didn't have an excluder, and this one didn't have an excluder, but this one here did. And you can see that they're hardly up in the top. They're down in the bottom just fine, but they're not in the top. And so, like I said, this is not an anti-excluder video. It's just a matter of that, especially if you're a beginner beekeeper. I mean, look at, I've been involved with bees 22, 23 years, and I really haven't tried or focused any energy on learning excluder usage in honey production. We use them for making splits and everything else. But here's a perfect example of where you probably don't want to try and use a queen excluder your first couple of years, because you are going to exclude probably a lot of honey production. You can create swarming issues and blah, blah, blah. So once again, not an or queen excluder. We call them honey excluders, but queen excluder video, but just rather a warning about them. It is starting to rain and I need to finish up this yard. I'll catch you later.